Welcome, visionaries and chain makers, to Lead with LeAnn, where we navigate the waters of business with heart and purpose, airing every week at 2 p.m. Pacific time, exclusively on winwinwomen.tv. I'm LeAnn Lyon, your Chief Joy Officer, here to empower you with strategies, insights, and a splash of fun. Each week on Lead with LeAnn, you'll join me as we delve into the inspiring stories of established leaders and innovative entrepreneurs. Will uncover just what it takes to build a brand from scratch, lead with authority and grace, and turn business aspirations into tangible successes. So anchor down, set your sails, and let's dive into the art of joyful leadership and get ready to be inspired, because your journey to business brilliance starts right now. My guest today is a multi-best-selling and award-winning author. She is the CEO of TM Davis Enterprise, LLC, a dynamic training and coaching practice that empowers aspiring, authors, coaches, and entrepreneurs to bring their book and business visions to life through storytelling. My guest holds a doctorate in Christian leadership, a master's in business administration, and an 850 School Business Administrator certificate from the state of Connecticut. So she's a certified entrepreneur from the National Entrepreneurs Association, and her published works include #Goal Getter, GOAL Getter, Goal Getter, Strategies for Overcoming Life's Challenges, Goodbye Fear, Hello Destiny, Dream Your Plan, Plan Your Dream, 7 Steps to Manifesting Success, Blessed Not Broken, Volumes 1 through 5, Love, Business, and Marriage, Becoming Her, and co-author in Dear Mama, and her latest 2 books will be released in 2024. She is the founder of Pen to Profit, Write, Publish, and Build Community on Facebook, and the host of an annual Pen to Profit conference for authors. I'm so excited about this. This is going to be a great conversation. So it is my distinct pleasure to introduce, with all of that and a whole lot more, Dr. Tamara Mitchell-Davis. Are you there? Come forward. Let's see you. There she is. Hi.
Hello, LeAnn.
Hello again. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
Good. I'm great. That was a long list of accomplishments. I'm like,
Yes.
wow, I'm just going to be still introducing her when it's time to wrap up.
You know, it's shocking to hear your own bio, I have to
Yeah,
say.
it is, right? So what didn't I include that you're most proud of?
Most proud of, I didn't hear my daughters. So I'm most proud of my family, of course, and just the community that we've built on social media. We have a Pen to Profit community of aspiring and published authors. So that is something I am most proud of as well.
Excellent. And how long have you had that going?
Our community, we've had about 5 years now.
Okay,
Yeah.
excellent. And is this something that you worked towards a long time? Was it a relatively new endeavor 5 years ago? You woke up and you're like, yeah, and I think I'm going to start something new.
Yeah, well, let's see. I've always had the desire to write and publish my own book, but it morphed into the business once the book was published. So we've been in business for about 6 years now, and in the space of helping other aspiring authors get their stories written, published, told, sold, and helping them build their author platform. So I want to say around the start of the pandemic is when the entrepreneurial bug bit me. And so that was an opportunity for me to take a leap, and I did it. And from there, we've just been building ever since.
Wow. And what's your favorite? Tell me a favorite story from what you've been able to do already in your first 5 years, which is pretty cool.
Personal story or stories in general? Well, so I've been working with well over 100 plus authors so far. And so it's hard to pull out one story because they're all just so great. What I enjoy the most is watching the transformation that happens. So when I first meet with a prospective co-author or client, it's, the hesitation on, should I share my story? What do I write about? Is it good enough? And just some wonderings on how do they create their story or build with their story. And so taking them through the process, writing, editing, publishing, on to, them now being able to build with their story and build their platform is something that I am most proud of. Watching the transformation happen for them, because it's just another level and layer of confidence, of exposure, of awareness, of movement that was created. So I do enjoy all of them and all of the stories.
And what kind of publishing are you doing? Like physical book publishing, ebook?
Yes. So book, self-publishing, paperback books, as well as ebooks. So we do publish for the print copy. It's meant to stay down for now. For the print copy, and we also have the electronic, the digital copies.
Okay. Yeah, just this past week, I had somebody reach out. She says, "LeAnn, everybody, point me in the direction. I want to do an ebook for free or low, low, low cost."
Uh-huh.
I said, "Well, as a matter of fact, you should be on my show."
Yes.
Um, is that possible? I mean, are people, she's saying free or low, low cost. I do see people putting up ebooks for 99 cents,
Mm-hmm.
kind of a thing, but there's some expense to publishing those, I would imagine.
So with a digital book, I mean, you have the expense that comes with writing a regular book. So you want to hire a professional editor, you want to have a book cover. So there are some standard costs that come with it. But publishing on Amazon, as an example, there's no cost associated. You just upload the files and make it available. However, I would advise that it is your intellectual property that you're putting up there. So like, get something from it, your hard work and the time that you put into it, but you can definitely, put a cost associated that you feel most comfortable with.
And as
Yeah.
I was reading through your list of books, it's a really long one. I mean, how many publications have your name on them for you having created?
13 so far.
And
Yeah.
you said when I got that, you said two coming this year. Either of them, have they come out yet?
Yes, this one was released 2 months ago. It's our Pen to Profit, Write, Publish, and Build. So this is like workbook slash handy dandy guide on how you can get started with writing your book. So that was created. It goes with our Pen to Profit brand and our annual event. So that came out, and within the next 30 days, we'll have our Trailblazer book coming out. So this is a collaborative book with 10 women writing and sharing their stories in it as well. So that will be out shortly.
Oh, wonderful.
I can't believe it's been that long since we connected before.
Yeah, the date I have was that we connected in January. End of January.
Wow. Yeah.
I think we had our first conversation shortly thereafter, but yeah, typically I mean I'm booked out with guests until September also.
Wow. Yeah.
So
So at
even
least I can say I've made some progress.
yeah, you have
As you
indeed.
asked me that, and I'm like, no, not yet. Then I will have to rethink like what I'm doing with my time. But yeah, that's where we are.
And before this, what were you doing?
So as far as business or
Business work,
career,
yeah.
what?
Yeah.
So we've been doing this for 6 years now with the book collaborations. I do work in the educational field. I've taught in higher ed as an adjunct, business courses, as well as assistant director in our local pre-K through 12 district. So learning has always been a part of my world in some capacity. And yeah, that's what's been going on, as well as doing community work.
So are you still involved with the higher education work as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I've taught online in the Department of Corrections and in person on campus.
Now that's a story.
Yeah, all business courses.
How did you get involved with that?
So it was through the community college I was working at. There was a grant that came out where adjuncts can go into the Department of Corrections and teach business courses. So I raised my hand and I went in rather. And it was definitely a phenomenal experience for me.
Tell me about your first day doing that.
Yeah. My first day, let's see, let me think back. It's been some years. My first day, I went in with my note cards, my book, um, a little bit of nerves, but I had my curriculum and just followed protocol, policy. It was fine. Yeah.
Was that virtual or in person
It
then?
was in person.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
Has
in.
that switched? Is it now virtual or is it still in person?
No, that program it doesn't exist anymore. Yeah.
Okay,
This was several years ago.
sure. So when you did that, how many students did you have?
Um, it was about maybe 22. Department of Corrections. It was a course. It was Intro to Business. So it was about that. In class, it fluctuate, and I've taught online too. So those numbers can fluctuate.
Sure. And did
Yeah.
you how do I say it? I mean, did you have any stellar students? Were they good students?
Yeah, they were. I mean, they showed up ready to, learn and engaged. It was interactive. Like I was able to do I had them do like individual projects. So they would read, the information, they would come back and share out their thoughts. They would go and do some research in a library, etc. So I tried to make it as interactive as possible, understanding like you really couldn't do group work in that capacity or in that environment. But it was definitely a creative space for me to make sure that the curriculum and the planning came alive in the classroom.
Got it. Yeah, I can imagine. So you have doctor, so doctor of
Christian leadership.
Christian leadership. Okay.
Yes.
And then your undergraduate and master's were
Business administration.
okay. So no education per se. All
No. Yep. Well, education, yes, not in the capacity of like certified teaching.
okay. And Christian leadership then, was that a calling? Was there a moment where you're like doing this?
I think it's a continuous thing for me. Just learning, searching, just wanting to live as best as possible and just lean into what I feel my purpose is. So it's unpacking that and understanding who I am, what my purpose is, the path that's before me, and being able to be of service to others.
Well, 13 books down, you only have about 80 to go to catch up to John. So
That's it, 80.
I think he's up to 95 books.
Wow.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think something like that. 85 or 95. It's somewhere in there. And granted, there's some of them are second or third versions or a different take on the same subject in many
Hmm.
ways, but
Yeah.
he's been constantly evolving his work over the many, many years that he's
Hmm.
been doing this. One difference is that although most people understand he's a pastor, he doesn't overtly talk about Christian leadership per se. He really tries to stick with leadership and kind of bring the Christian in kind of the backside on the flip
Hmm.
side, if you will.
Hmm.
And
Mm.
it's just a different take. Have you heard this story about him?
I have not. No.
Oh, so yeah, one of my favorite stories. So I'm John Maxwell certified as a coach,
Okay.
speaker, trainer. And one of my favorite stories about him is that he was at a conference. He had, hundreds of people in the room, hundreds or thousands, I'm not sure, but a lot of people. And he was there talking about leadership and talked about all of his different things, all of his different theories. Towards the end, he had a little bit of extra time before they were all going to go downstairs to a reception. And he said,
Hmm.
well, I've got a little extra time and we're all friends here. Can I answer any questions? And one guy popped his hand up. And I think this were all like tradespeople, right? Guy
Hmm.
popped up his hand and said, yeah, I've taken so many notes. You're brilliant. Where do you get all these ideas? And John Maxwell said, oh, you don't really want to know. And of course, what does that make anybody do? No,
Right.
I really
Tell
do.
me. Right.
And then he's like, no, no, it's okay. Next question. And the next person's like, okay, I want to know now. Right.
Hmm.
And kind of went. And so he kind of, masterminded this, kind of let it build up. And then he's like, well, okay, it's time to go. We're all going to be downstairs in a few minutes. Find me in the corner if I can answer any questions. But yeah, so everything that I've shared, everything that you've heard, it comes from one source, and it's the Bible.
Hmm.
And he said he could have heard a pin drop. He said 20 people gave their lives to Jesus in that reception that night
Oh, wow. I
because
have
they
to
were so moved.
read up on it.
Yeah, fascinating. And I could be wrong on the
Interesting.
number, but I recall 20.
Okay.
Yeah, I've
Interesting.
seen him in person several times, and he's a masterful speaker and leader, obviously. But his focus is on leadership and what we do. So, how would you categorize, if people were to pick up one of your books, what would they find?
I think they will find inspiration. They will find truth. They will find motivation, and they would just be, to sum it up, I would say empowered to understand that life is ever unfolding, and we get to decide how it unfolds, for the most part, and just take risks. Take risks. Be okay with learning. Be okay with growing, and any hiccups or challenges that we face, then it's a part of the process. But keep moving.
So, if I'm a leader and I say, I want to bring my faith more into my business,
Hmm.
um, do you have a book or a resource that you could recommend or point me towards?
Let's see. There's several now. Let's see. Which book?
Hmm.
All of the books that we have produced, honestly, have a faith-based element to it. So I think that depending on where they are, like what they would want to see, or read or understand will determine um, how they receive it. So, like, we have one that's The Power of Letting Go. We have one that's on healing. We have another that's on transformation. So, I think it depends on where they are. And it's the Blessed Not Broken series.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That's fascinating. You said the thing I didn't mention is that you live in Connecticut with your husband and children. How old are your girls?
19 and 29.
Oh, yay. So
Yeah.
you are empty nested-ish.
Yeah. Almost, just about.
As am I, which is,
Yeah.
a whole
How
different
many children do you have?
two daughters as well, and they are
Okay.
25 and almost 23.
Okay.
So both
Okay.
done with college and fully on their own, and it's such a blessing, absolutely. Um,
Hmm.
our youngest I credit with bringing us meaning my husband and I back to church, and
Okay.
and finding really the right fit for ourselves and with where we wanted to go. And my interest is in bringing faith into every conversation to some degree. Not
Okay.
in the sense of beating anybody over the head, because you know
Hmm.
what? I found out that doesn't work real well.
No.
And the most enlightening thing I ever heard was that, oh, guess what? It's not up to me. Ha! It's not up to me. But just speaking it and letting people know is enough.
Hmm.
It's between them and in my faith Jesus, so it's between them.
Right.
But I can be a resource. I can be an inspiration. I can be that, oh, her too.
Hmm. Yeah.
Where
I would say plant the seed.
planting
We
the seed,
always
right?
say, yeah, plant the seed.
I
Yeah.
think I plant a lot more than I necessarily water, but
Hmm.
I plant as much as
Yeah.
for sure. So your background, you said you started with a lot of other things.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, when you're first, did you go right into college out of high school kind of a deal?
So right after high school, I went to college for about a year and a half, and then I left due to financial reasons. So I did not remain. And come to find out, it was like a hiccup with the bursar's office, with the monies that I received, like scholarships, loans. By the time I guess their books had updated, I don't know if you know this or not, but like you'll get a notification that says, okay, if your bill isn't paid, then you can't return to class, like something of that nature. And so by this time I was like, okay. So I did not return back the semester, but I had a mentor at the time. And so she had made an appointment rather, to go and meet with the bursar's office. And we met. And by the time we arrived, which was months later, I had a zero balance. But I had, because of the letter or communications we were receiving, I didn't return. And so from that year and a half, I took a break, and did not return immediately. And with that, I had my daughter. So I had my daughter at the age of 9. I was pregnant at 19, had her at 20, and just started working. And then from there, I returned back to school and eventually put myself through school. But it was, of course, longer. It took a longer time. I was working full time, going to school part-time, through community college, and then just, continuing on. So it wasn't a straight right after high school, the next 4 years, 6 years, and so on. But there were some breaks, but I kept going. And I think that's why it's important for me with storytelling, for everyone to share their truth and share their story, because it can help someone else. I always get people who read the stories that we share, like reach out and say how they identify, or, they were motivated by the stories that we share. And that's just my truth that I, choose to share, as well as the other co-authors in the project. So to answer your question, it was not straight there and finish. It was some breaks in between, of starting and stopping. And that's the same thing you may do when writing a book. You may start writing a little bit, stop, and then pick it back up months later. But stay focused on your goal, and just, keep going at it, and stay true to, what your calling and your purpose is.
In fact, I asked you before we started this, for three takeaways, and I think you hit the third one really well right there. Our stories are unique, and that there's power in storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything you want to add to that?
I think just over time, even just from us, connecting months ago, I'm just drawn more into storytelling piece. And you never know someone's story until you take the time to talk to them, to hear their story. And that's when you can understand that, someone's story can help you, your story can help someone else. And it is that connection piece. So stories can connect us. It helps us, it transforms us. And even in the space of storytelling overall, just the impact that we can make, because you never know where your story can land. Someone can read your book that you may never meet in life, but it could help them where they are. So that is the power of words and the power of storytelling.
And that's why I do a podcast.
Perfect segue.
These perfect conversations. So quickly, yes. We are going to end our recording in a little bit here, but anybody that's on the live streaming service, because this is a live recording, come on over to winwinwomen.tv, and you can pop in here. And if you have a question for either of us, you're welcome to pop in and ask that question. We won't make you be on camera, don't worry, but we'd love to have you over here. So anybody coming over or listening to this recording, because this recording is out on, 40 different places. Of course, you're not live on the recording, but do come back and listen to the Lead with LeAnn show every Monday live on winwinwomen.tv. So there's my little commercial, but yeah, you brought up so many really great points. You also said that your book started the business. Your book started your business. Yes. Want to explain that a little bit more?
Yes. So when I published my first book, it released in 2017. Prior to that, it took me several years to get it done. As I mentioned with school, I was starting, stopping. So when I finally published the book in 2017, it was then I just not knowing what to do, but just leading into what I was prompted to do. I became my own billboard, if you will. So everywhere I would go, I would talk about the book. I had merchandise created. I would take pictures. I was in the process of building my brand, not knowing I was building the brand around the book. And from there, I had other women reaching out to me to say they identify with the story. Can I help them write their story? And so that's what I mean when I say the book started the business, because it was the book, me releasing my story, that put me on the path and put me in position and even connected to other women who desire to do the same thing. And so I started coaching in that space of helping others write and publish their stories. So that's how the book started the business. I leveraged the book to then move me into different spaces and places for connections.
So not knowing that that was going to happen, because clearly you wouldn't have, what was your initial purpose in writing your book? Why did you want to share that story?
So growing up, in my neighborhood, there weren't too many, published authors. I would see, books being published in a library or taking trips, downtown to our local library or the school library. And so I was always an advocate of learning, period. I would get together with my cousins. I would be the teacher. I would do the ditto sheets and correct the papers with red ink, because that's what, I saw teachers do, and was emulating all of that. And I just had a love for words, for stories, sharing stories. And I just thought to myself one day as a teenager, I had always been writing in my journal, my diary. And I was like, you know what? Things that I've gone through, things that I've lived through, rather, I want to share my story. And so I took things that I was journaling about, just life experiences. And for me, it was just a journal. It was just my way of unpacking. And, as a single mom, when I started with, working and all these things, the idea kept getting pushed to the back burner. Just didn't know how I would bring it to life or bring it to reality. But the desire never left. So for me, publishing my book was just a goal that I always wanted to achieve. So when it was done and published, I'm like, yay, it's done. I'm done. That's it. Mission accomplished. Goal, check. That was it for me. But in reality, I mean, sitting here now, that wasn't it for me. That was just the beginning for me. So it goes back to my book started the business, because that was not the intention when I published it.
Indeed. I remember being in first grade, and I got the librarian's attention, and I was like, which getting the adult's attention is a big deal anyway. And I said, here, and I brought her over I can still picture the librarian in my elementary school. And I pointed randomly to a bookshelf. I said, when I write a book, I want you to put it right here. No idea what the Dewey Decimal System was or any of that. And I was going to write a book. And she's like, okay, we'll do that. And I was, at that point, I was going to write a book about dinosaurs. So
okay.
I can guarantee that will never happen.
Never say never.
About dinosaurs? I'm really sure it's not going to be about dinosaurs. No, I'm down with the book. Just the dinosaurs. So, that's yeah. And actually, I've been talking lately a lot about using podcasting to connect with your ideal client. I heard the story recently of a gentleman who was doing a financial planning. He's a financial planner. So he's like, okay, I can do a podcast about financial planning, but who's going to listen to it? People with a lot of money or people who want to have a lot of money? Usually the people who don't have money are listening to those, and the people he wanted to reach were the people with a lot of money who aren't listening to him. So, how can I use this to leverage my ideal client? So he started a podcast on fly fishing.
Okay.
Because, he could relate. He loves it. He loves the sport and all that. And these people do too. He was able to meet his ideal client through his podcast. Is that what you're talking about? Or is it a 180 degree different from what I just described when you're talking about connecting with your ideal client through writing?
Yeah, I think it boils down to common interests. Like, it's that common interest. So for someone who's interested in writing their story, that will be the common interest between us. Same as, what you just shared with the podcast. It's the common interest that allows people to connect, to come together based on a common topic, common idea, just common interest in general. That's how they meet up. And once you meet up and you start talking and sharing and building and connecting, then that's when you're able to, understand, okay, well, this is what they need. This is what they, what they like, what they don't need, et cetera. So then you can, move into another level of communication with them once you have their attention. But it needs to be something to grab their attention early
Always.
on. Yeah.
Attention and location. Those are the two
Yeah.
things, right? Excellent. Well, I have a key question that I'd like to ask everybody, and we're about to wrap up here. And then I also want you to share with, our audience how they can connect with you. But you talked about, even as a teenager, you were writing, you were connecting, you were correcting, you were all that.
Mm-hmm.
What if you back up just a couple of years to when you were like 8 or 9 years old?
Mm-hmm.
What did you love to do then? Were you also playing teacher? This before you could really work and
Yes.
before, but that precious age. What were you doing?
Yes. At that age, so inside, I would always have like, I'm dating myself, of course. I don't know if you remember this, but it was like ditto worksheets. Like in the book, you could tear them out. But I would always like trace letters, do multiplication. Like I was always doing something that, that would help me learn. Right. And so it was, the ditto sheets, the workbooks, that my mom would get all the time. So whether it had to do with storytelling, spelling, adjectives, whatever it was that would help me, just learn and be in the space of learning. That's what I would do at that age. And then outside, I was playing house. I would be outside in the yard, baking, picking up, flowers and mixing up this with water and had I had an easy bake oven in the house, but I had the pans that would come with it. So I would be outside picking and doing things with my pots and pans. And so that was the difference between outdoors and indoors.
And do you still enjoy baking and cooking?
Not really.
No?
No, every now and then I would try a new recipe, but I do have, well, let me not say that. So I have my own recipe for a red velvet cake. It's made from scratch. It's something that I passed down to my daughters. So that's something that I make every holiday for us. That's something they look forward to. But cooking in general, I think not really. Not really. I don't, my daughters are older. My husband, he knows how to cook. So, everyone can cook for themselves. I have one day a week that I commit to cooking, and that is on a Sunday. Anything else is a bonus. So we have that understanding here. And, if I see recipes that pique my interest, then I'll try them out. But other than that, no, not really.
I may have to try it. I actually like that idea. I'm not much of a cook and I don't really enjoy it, but that's just a mindset. If I decided to, it would be fun. So
yeah,
I may have to switch that up and try out Sundays.
Yeah, I used to when my daughters was younger, I would cook, cook more, but now I don't. No.
Yeah. Right. So what is the best way for people to reach you?
Yes, so you can find me on social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, Dr. Tamara Mitchell-Davis. My website is www.tamaramdavis.com. So you can find me there.
Yep. And so Tamara, for listening, because not everybody can see it, we can see it if you're watching the videos, but anybody listening to a recording, it's TAMARAMDavis.com.
Yes.
So there you go. Mitch, M instead of the full Mitchell, and then Davis, Davis. So there you go. Yeah, absolutely. Wonderful. Well, I want to thank you so much. Any last words of wisdom before we wrap up here?
Let's see.
I feel like I could keep talking to you for another hour, but
I know, same here. I would just say that be open to exploring. Be open to exploring all the possibilities that life has to offer. For me, I mean, it's personal. That's why I'm saying that. Like just being in a space of what's on the other side of that comfort zone, what's on the other side of the fear, what's on the other side of the doubt, what's on the other side of the limiting beliefs, like all the things that would normally keep us from moving forward, but approach it with, let me explore this. Let me try this on. Let me see if I like it, if I'm interested in it. So be open to exploring all the possibilities of life and what it is that you desire and you deserve. So those would be my parting words.
I love that. Thank you so much for being here today. This has been a joy having you on the Lead
Thank
with LeAnn
you.
show. And I will wrap it up as I usually do with, thanks to the audience. Thank you also for joining me on this journey to unleash your joyful business potential. And who knows, maybe that's going to intersect here with Dr. Tamara. Remember, leadership is a voyage we take together. So keep shining and aligning with your purpose. Come back next week, every week at 2 p.m. Pacific time. That's 4 p.m. in the Central time, 5 p.m. at Eastern, exclusively on winwinwomen.tv for our next inspiring episode. So until next time, this is LeAnn, your Chief Joy Officer, signing off. And keep leading with heart, and I'll catch you on the next wave of success. Farewell, and keep spreading
Thank you.
joy.
Have a good day, everyone.
Yep. Bye-bye. Thank you.